Recorded live from the English Valley's History Center, July 12th, 2025, Jackie's podcast, and we're rolling.
Hello, my name is Jackie Geringer McDermott, and I'd like to start the morning off with a couple acquisitions of the week. This is the first one, and Dave, you're going to have to bring the second one. This is from Marianne Holton, whose married name is Marianne Teagatz, from North English. It's a 1966 promotional calendar from O.D. Hall Appliance. Don Hall had the appliance store down here, and this one is especially beautiful because it's got the color on it. And it's from 1966. The second thing is this promotional item. It's from M&K Pool Hall, and it's a little coin, and we're going to have to do some more research on that and find out when M&K Pool Hall was in North English, but it does say North English, Iowa right on it. And thank you again, Marianne, for these wonderful donations to the History Center. We're always looking for things like that. If you have anything, be sure to bring it. This diary was written by my great-great-aunt, Mary Elizabeth Claypool Wade, who was known as Libby Wade. She is 75 years old in June of 1950. Here is a picture of Aunt Lib, right down here on the bottom, with the children of her brother Benton and his wife, Rosa Carter Claypool. They are Jonathan, or Jaunty Claypool, Louise Claypool Long, Otis Claypool, and Bertha Claypool Geringer. We will read and talk about a few days in the diary. Somebody go get Dave, please. Guys, go get Dave for her. We will read and talk about a few days in the diary and then switch to the happenings around the History Center and feature stories. June 11th, 1950. We had a great day. Went up to John Long's between Vinton and Garrison. It was a lovely day, and they had all their children and grandchildren there, except Ivan and his wife. They live at Mitchell, South Dakota. Otis and Pearl and all of their family, except Charles and his wife and boy, and Nedra's husband. I forgot. Don Yonda, Anna's husband, was not there either. Jaunty and Viola, Wayne and Jenny, and Wayne Kurtz and Evelyn, and Suzanne and Kathy, and Janet and Karen Lawrence. Russell and I and Tracy Wallace went with us. Ella Robertson came over in the PM, so we had a nice visit with her, too. John and Bertha, Donald and Dorothy and 3 children, Glenn and Mamie and 3 boys, Benton and Ann and son Kenneth, Robert, Dean, Charles, and Ronald Geringer. Everyone helped with dinner. I didn't write down. Lyle and Leora, and Joanne and Donald and Marengo, Otis and Pearl and Nedra Dote and Ricky. Marvin didn't go. John Long Jr. came from California a week ago. He is in the service and has 30 days leave. Has another year yet to serve. Lib attended a family reunion of the children and grandchildren of her brother Benton Claypool and his wife Rosa Carter Claypool, who were Louise Long, Otis Claypool, Jaunty Claypool, and Bertha Geringer. Here's a picture of them when they were younger. And on the back, here's a picture of those same ones. And this could be that same day. This is all those same children and their spouses. Lib's son, Wayne, and his wife, Jenny, and their daughter, Evelyn Kurtz, and family attended too, as well as Jenny's nieces, the Lawrence girls, who were visiting in town this summer. My paternal great-grandma, Tracy Kelly Geringer Wallace, also rode up with them, as she is Lib's friend and is related to the Geringers. Evidently, my father, John Francis Geringer, and his brothers, Arnold, Marvin, and married brother Al and his wife, Betty, and 2 children, Buck and Nancy, did not attend the reunion this time. Marlene Newberry's picture is in the Cedar Rapids paper today and announcing her engagement to Marvin Geringer. Marlene Newberry, the granddaughter of Lib's old friend Clara Newberry and the niece of her friend Hattie Newberry Killian, is engaged to my uncle Marvin Geringer. Their family moved to Cedar Rapids 3 years ago. Louise loaned me a book, Woman with a Sword by Hollister Noble. They had confirmation at the Catholic Church. June 12, 1950. Rainy this morning, sharp claps of thunder. I don't think it will last long. I'm so glad it was nice yesterday. We had such a nice trip. I'm not so very tired today, and my foot don't hurt like it did. I guess setting so long made it worse, and I had on stiff shoes. Alice Van Auken was in to get news for her column in the Williamsburg paper. I gave her names of those who were at Long's yesterday, 59 that I could think of. And here's the article from the Williamsburg paper. Reunion and cooperative dinner held near Vinton. A cooperative dinner and family reunion was held at the home of Mr. and Mrs. John Long near Vinton on Sunday. Those present were Mr. and Mrs. Francis Wade and family of Kinross, Mr. and Mrs. Don Yonda and family of Cedar Rapids, John Long Jr. of California, Mr. and Mrs. John Long, Charlotte, Richard, and Delmer of Vinton, Mr. and Mrs. J.L., that would be John T. Claypool of Brooklyn, Mr. and Mrs. Otis Claypool, Mrs. Marvin Don't and son of Parnell, Mr. and Mrs. Lyle Woodward and family of Marengo, Mr. and Mrs. John Geringer, Robert, Dean, Charles, and Ronald of North English, Mr. and Mrs. Glenn Geringer and family of Iowa City, Mr. and Mrs. Benton Geringer and son of Williamsburg, Mrs. Ella Robertson of Garrison, Mr. and Mrs. Wayne Kurtz and family of South English, Mrs. Libby Wade and Russell, Mr. and Mrs. Wayne Wade, Janet and Karen Lawrence, Mr. and Mrs. Donald Geringer and family, and Mrs. Tracy Wallace, all of North English. So we just read something that Lib wrote. After dinner, I washed dishes and rested a while during another downpour. We got a good rain. In the PM, Maud was here. Beth came and was here for supper. Mrs. Agnew brought some petunia plants, and I gave her some rhubarb. Harold Holmes was here later in the evening. They stayed until about 9. Jack is not very well, has had 2 more insulin shocks, and has had the mumps. Altogether has weakened him. Mary, or Minnie Agnew, lives in the first house in the next block east of Lib on Oak Street, and she was the grandmother of John O'Rourke and his brothers, among many others. Maud Foster Claypool is Lib's friend and married to her nephew Ray Claypool. Beth Holmes is Lib's niece, the daughter of her sister, Sarah Myrtle Claypool Mall, and Beth's husband's name is Harold Holmes. Beth's brother, John Josiah Mall Jr., Jack Mall, is staying at the Holmes house with them, and he has health problems. Several in their family, including their mother Myrtle Mall, were severe diabetics, and all the others, except for Owen in Minnesota, have passed away at a young age. When my dad was searching for others in the family who were type 1 diabetics, Myrtle's name was mentioned along with her children. Millie Kay was here a while. This is her birthday. I overlooked it. Her mother is not well. I am to send her a card. Millie Swope Knipper was 68 years old today. She and her 98-year-old widowed mother, Laura Swope, who was Lib's grade school teacher, live in town. Ethel and Linda were here a while. Her mother is not well. I am to send her a card sometime this week. Larry Millers have a baby daughter, born yesterday at Singerty Hospital. Mrs. Bolts has been sick, stomach trouble. She had the doctor yesterday. Ethel McCarter and her young daughter Linda visited. Her mother is Effie Lockridge. Mrs. Bolts, or Lizzie Geiger Bolts, is 87 years old and has been having some health issues. Larry and Johnette Miller's new baby was Jan Miller from the class of 1968. And we looked around a little bit to find some pictures of the Millers. Here is Larry, who we called Young Doc. And in the annual, We found a picture of Johnette. She's on the top in the front row. And in this one, here is Jan Miller in the center, right there. She's from the class of 1968. This is the old Everyone at EV book. We have new ones coming out this summer. Harold H. is quite enthused about his new work. It does sound good. Lib is talking about Harold Holmes, the husband of niece Beth Mall Holmes. June 13th, 1950. Cloudy and windy. Rained in the night. My teeth still hurt me. I'll have to have them trimmed a little more. My foot hurts too. Put a bandage on a while, but it made it worse. It swelled more. So maybe this is just my bad day. Mrs. Bauer brought us a box of berries. They are really nice. Stella was in a while since dinner. She was all worked up about money and her share, etc. Anna Weingarten Bauer is Lib's neighbor to the south. Stella Markwell Wallace is the newly widowed mother of Lib's daughter-in-law, Lena Wallace Wade. Ruth McCarter is picking berries down there. Someone must be putting tar on their roof. It smells. The rains have made the peonies drop. We did not get ours tied up this year. Have some lovely red roses out east of the house. Also have lemon lilies, primroses, and some others. The irises are about gone. The ferns are taking over too much. Ruth McCarter that she's talking about is Ruth Wetherell McCarter, and she was 29 years old in 1950 and was the wife of Wayne McCarter. Sent a card to Mrs. Otto Lockridge, who is ill. Stella came up again, brought some berries. She expects to go to Ethel's tomorrow with Tracy, and Saturday she is going to Von Campbell's. Stella Wallace and her sister-in-law Tracy Wallace, who are the widows of Roy and Frank Wallace, are going to visit their sister-in-law, Ethel Wallace Mick, who lives near Heddon, but was not able to attend the recent funeral of her brother Roy Wallace. Hattie came over and went from here to Lodge. She is to go to the hospital in Iowa City in the morning. Rosa Secor will take her. They are honoring the past grands tonight. She stopped a while when she went home. Hattie is very ill, cancer, I think. She is a faithful member of the Rebecca Lodge, which is held on the top floor of the Locker building just west of Lib's house. The head office is called Noble Grand, so they were honoring everyone who had led the group in the past. Rosa Killian Secor, who is taking Hattie Killian to the hospital, is Hattie's stepdaughter, but she's not that much younger than Hattie, as Mr. Killian was much older than Hattie when they got married. Rosa Secor lived down on Washington Street, 2 houses east of where I lived when I was very young. I can't remember what she looks like anymore, but we all remembered that she had barbed wire in her maple trees along the sidewalk. She was probably trying to keep us Smoky Road kids from climbing the trees and splatting ourselves on the sidewalk. Heard that Mrs. Carson was taken to the hospital, I think last night. Russell went to Williamsburg tonight with Mildred. County chorus practice. They are to sing here in town Sunday night. Belle Carson, whose family owns Carson's clothing store, lives across the street in the house that would be occupied by the Bill and Jean Kaufman family for many years in the future. Lib's 42-year-old son, Russell Wade, who lives in the same house with Lib, and his girlfriend, Mildred Reese, sing in the county chorus together. June 14th, 1950, Flag Day. Burl's 18th birthday, and I forgot to send him a card or letter. It is warm and sultry this morning. Had rain again last night. Thunder and lightning, heavy. Russell was to go to Cedar Rapids today, so I will be alone, I suppose. I called Dr. S, and he took my plate again. It seems to be too long. I just can't wear them when they hurt me so. My foot is a little better today, I think. It sure was awful yesterday, and my mouth hurt too. A bad combination. Burl Cray is Lib's 18-year-old son, and he lives in Edinburgh, grandson, and he lives in Edinburgh, Texas. And Dr. A.C. Scholenthaler is the local dentist who stops to pick up Libby's denture on his way to work. And then he takes it to work and works on it. Russell didn't go to Cedar Rapids this a.m. He was home for dinner and is to go this p.m. Bruce is wanting a day's work done in half a day. I sent to Kitchen Club for the casserole leaflets for the sectional cookbook. Flossie took the letter. Dr. S helped my teeth a lot. They were too long, the plate was, rather. I heard that Mrs. Carson was operated on yesterday. A growth of some kind was removed from her breast. Mrs. Kinnaman stopped to tell me that Mrs. Bolts is a little better, but not very good, though. Mary Newhouse stopped a while and then went to their church club at Mike Hester's. Bruce Warner is right here in this picture. And he is Russell's boss at the home lumber company where he works. Flossie West Claypool is the divorced wife of Winter West from the Yankee Point area and the granddaughter of Lib's cousin Wallace Claypool. She works uptown at Mahana Furniture and Funeral and is going right past the post office, so she takes Lib's mail for her. Mrs. Kinnaman is another neighbor whose family used to own the newspaper. Mary Newhouse is a neighbor who is Catholic and attends the same church as the Hester family. Mike Hester was a brother to longtime resident Bill Hester. Elsie Miller was here a while. She visited her Aunt Mary Bear at Richland last Sunday. Tracy stopped in on her way home. She and Stella had been down to Ethel Mix today. She was pretty tired, so Russell took her home when he got ready to go out to Mildred's. Elsie Miller from the Green Valley area is the mother of Bob Miller, who was married to Kay Thurman, and of Dick Miller of Green Valley. Tracy was my great-grandma Wallace. She's in the center in this picture. She lives down on Washington Street in the house where Leonard and Helen Wilkerson lived for many years. June 15th, 1950. A good breeze, but it will be a hot day. Had rain last night again. The electricity was off for a little while about 8 o'clock. About 11 a.m. it rained a little here again. The folks went for the children at Bible school. Karen and Claudia were at the church. Walter brought them home. Jenny sent us some cake, but we had dinner over, so we'll have it later. Little Claudia Wade and her dad's cousin, Karen Lawrence, are attending Bible school at the Methodist church. Since it is raining, Walter or Bud Wade, Lib's grandson, and Claudia's father went to get the children. Walter's mother is Jenny Wade, Lib's daughter-in-law. Ethel came in the p.m. and cleaned up the house. Was here a little over 2 hours. Paid her. She had not been here lately to work. Stella was in a while. Ethel said Johnette Miller was in town with her baby today. It was born last Sunday. The baby had no wrap or blanket on. It must be the correct way. Nurses and doctors should know. Ethel McCarter is the wife of Max McCarter, a truck driver who worked for Perky Wade when I knew him in the 1960s. Since it was June 15th, I guess baby Jan Miller will probably not freeze if she doesn't have a blanket on her. Her father, Larry, is a medical doctor, and her mother, Johnette Chambers Miller, is a nurse. They are putting up an outside stairway over at the Harris house on the east side. I think Everett Dennison and Darrell are doing the work. Some others may be helping. It will be nice for Flossie, not so far from the well, etc. I sat on the porch until nearly dark. It was hot in the house. Fern, Ott, Paul, and her husband were at Wayne's this evening. They live in Florida. We're to go to Pennsylvania to visit his people. Well, I guess Fulton or Doc Donahue did not own the house across the street from Lib yet. Not quite exactly sure which Harris family owns the house. It might be the family of my Aunt Joanne Harris Geringer from Texas. I'm not sure if it's Jordy Harris's or Butch Harris family. Flossie lives in a room there with her 6-year-old daughter, Barbara West. And since Lib mentions it is near the well, I would guess there is no water up in her room. Everett Dennison, who is building the stairway up to Flossie's room, is the father of Opal Dennison Popham, who just recently lived to be 100 years old. Her husband, Daryl Popham, is helping his father in law with the build. Fern Ott Paul is Jenny Wade's niece, the daughter of Jenny's sister, Ruth Butterbaugh Ott. And there's a picture of Ruth and her husband. I would like to thank my bell playing neighbor friends, Tracy and Adam, for the gift of the little microphone to make my presentation sound better. It is nice to have young listeners who are interested in history. The English Valley History Center has been operating on Main Street in North English since 2006. The center operates as a museum, monthly programming, a community coffee shop, and provides meeting spaces for groups and organizations. These include family and class reunions, celebrations, gatherings, and class meetings. The History Center offers all of its services by donations only. It does not have annual memberships like many other historical organizations and relies largely on private and community donations. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and donations are tax deductible. Your support of the History Center would help continue its operations and provide a valuable community asset. Please send donations to the English Valley's History Center, P.O. Box 70, North English, Iowa 52316. We had visitors this week concerning the Great Bank Robbery in North English in 1938. More about that subject very soon. Today we have another Jane Andrews Heddon short story. Jane was from the class of 57 and sent these pictures or sent these stories to me. This one is called Cheerleader. It was a big deal to be a cheerleader at North English High School. Although most of the athletically inclined girls went out for basketball, the competition was to become a cheerleader was fierce. In retrospect, I believe selection was based on popularity rather than physical ability. We jumped, kicked, clapped, and yelled, but that was about it. Gymnastic routines and cheerleading were not part of our routine. Basketball was the only competitive sport available to North English High School girls in the 1950s. Many of my friends were on the 6-player team that had guards on half the court and forwards on the other half. But someone had to lead the cheers, not only for our girls' team, but also for the boys who played football and basketball. I was one of those someones. We had cheerleaders for girls' basketball, boys' basketball, and football. A cheerleader might be assigned to one or two sports. I was one of the girls who got to lead cheers for football and girls' basketball. For basketball, we wore full circle skirts made of purple felt. Under those skirts were gold satin panties. We worked lots of twirling into our routines so that everyone could see the gold. Our sweaters were white with a huge N on the center front. The N was purple with gold lines around the edges. Across the lower band of the sweater, we sewed smaller letters that formed our names. Our shoes were the popular white bucks, white Oxfords, topped with white anklets. During football season, we wore the same sweaters, white bucks and white anklets. However, since it was cold at many of the games, we wore black slacks to complete our uniforms. Many of us were also in the marching band, so the black slacks looked better than purple skirts would have looked when we marched. My best friend Marlene was one of the girls on the cheerleading squad with me. She and I did many things together while we were in high school, and cheerleading was but one of them. We were never too serious about anything except boys, so took cheerleading much for granted. Practices were infrequent, and we were on our own to admit routines. We had no faculty sponsor, but the school sanctioned our group, so we always got to ride to out-of-town games with the teams. Riding in a noisy bus, particularly after a winning game, was great fun. We would roll the windows down and yell into the darkened street of the opposing team's town as we left to go home. No matter what the distance, we led cheers, sang, and yelled even more when we got back to North English. When we lost, however, the mood was somber and the bus was quiet. Thoughts of my cheerleading experiences still make me smile. Our sympathies this week to the family of Tom Osweiler from the class of 1976. He was such a sweet person, and I know his family will dearly miss him. He's right here. We had visitors to the History Center last Sunday morning. Darlene Vercondi from the class of 1956, or from class of 1959, and her husband Dale Vercondi came by for coffee. They have heard about my broadcast, and I showed them where to watch my show. Darlene's full name is Ida Darlene Lown Vercondi, and she was named after her grandmother, Ida Myrtle Ballard Cobb. Her grandmother was the youngest child in this picture of the Ballard family. Darlene's mom was Thelma Cobb Lown Claypool, and Thelma's first husband was Darlene's dad, Myron Lown, and years later, Thelma's second husband was Dean Claypool, the youngest son of Lib's brother, Verner Claypool, and his wife, Minnie Smart Claypool. I asked if she had any pictures that Dean might have left, and she said she thought the Claypools would have those pictures. I do intend to go out to Winston Claypool's sometime soon to look at his stash of pictures. Bunny Pfeiffer said, I wonder if I could get a copy of the picture you showed of Alta Berry, my great aunt. I enjoy watching your podcast. Bonnie is coming here today to get pictures and will be returning with some Wade family members in August after their reunion. Mark Claypool said, Jackie, today was just another wonderful day of learning something new again. The names mentioned and the Creamery picnic memories are so special. Talking about the rented room that Flossie West lived in across the street from Lib's house, Vera Dye said that her parents, Ernie and Shirley Dye, rented an apartment from Fulton Doc Donahue in 1957 after they married. Mom told me that the rent was $25 a month at that house, and yes, steps ran up the side of the house. Louise Ballard Davis said, You do such an amazing interview. It makes me smile when you talk about years gone by and all the good times of the Creamery picnic. We were the lucky ones to get to enjoy the greatest days in history. My friend Helen Kirkpatrick Schwietert from Lake Placid, Florida and Colesburg, Iowa, called from her cabin on the Mississippi to tell me that she really liked the detasseling story. I did too, and I remember even having dreams at night about pulling corn tassels. More like nightmares, actually. Helen also said that she and her sister Mary are coming to North English for the festivities on July 26th. She said that she smiles when she hears me mention Lib's friend Maud Claypool, as Maud lived next to the Kirkpatricks on West Clark Street, and Maud did ironing for her mother, Marilyn. That is also how I knew Maud, from when I visited in the Kirkpatrick home. Do you remember looking forward to the Creamery picnic? I asked this question at our alumni luncheon last month, and the overwhelming answer was yes, like Christmas, and yes, definitely. Pam Kavanaugh Shields said, I look forward to your weekly broadcast, Jackie. I can lose myself listening to you describing the life events that took place in our hometown, North English. I love the Creamery picnic each summer, so much to do. Family would come to our house and we'd all walk uptown, watch the parade, and go back to our house for lunch. And then we would get to walk down to the park where we had so much fun. The parades were awesome. Our town seemed to be bursting with all the people who came to experience all that there was to do. Oh, the memories. Yes, Pam, I remember your sister Tana coming from Arizona each year. Louise Ballard Davis said, We got to paint the entire fence around the farmhouse to earn money for the Creamery picnic. Marilee Dillon Reesner said that each of the Dillon children were given $3 to spend on carnival rides, and 25 cents each, they needed to decide which rides they wanted to take. Several said they did anything they could do, from babysitting to mowing, to earn money for the Creamery picnic. Sue Ellen Wilkerson Seeby remembers the pet and doll parade that was held at the upper shelter at the park. She had pet frogs that she caught at the town pond and won a prize. Barb Good Baines remembers riding a horse in the parade each year. Vicki Holden Olson remembers her grandmother, Fern Holden, sewing summer outfits for the little girls to wear to the Creamery picnic. Helen Kirkpatrick Schwietert remembers going to bed at night and still being able to hear the dance at the platform and the noises from the carnival. She also remembers the young Ferris wheel operator who let her ride for free as long as she liked, if the Ferris wheel was not busy. There were also fond memories of the huge queen contest and going uptown to look at the 8x10 pictures of the queens in the store windows. Alan Ackerman thinks that we should start a campaign to rename the celebration the Creamery Picnic. I agree with that. Others will argue that the Creamery has been gone for 50 years. I wanted to point out to our listeners a couple of our favorite pictures at the History Centers. These were crowd shots taken by Noel Montz, a photographer from Webster, during the Centennial Creamery Picnic in 1954. We especially talk about this one frequently because of the chick in the shorts. She's right in the center of the picture, and she seems to be dressed. If I can make sure I've got her on there. She seems to be dressed in shorts, where everybody else in the whole thing has got on long sleeves, long pants, and so forth. These are great pictures. And then this one, besides the people in the car, who people do know who they are, the only other person that we can identify in this whole picture is young Doc Miller, and he's up on the roof of the building next door. The next program at the History Center will be the alumni reunion for the English Valley High School on July 26th. Scott Romine has posted the schedule for the day on the English Valley Graduates page. There will be snacks available at the History Center. Chuck Nachman will be in charge of tours at the elementary building and the high school building. I will be doing a live broadcast before the parade at 9 a.m. The parade is at 10:30, and I plan to stay at the History Center to greet visitors and sell North English 150 yearbooks that were printed 21 years ago. Scott and Bonnie Romine will have order blanks for everyone at EV Books, and books that have been pre-ordered will be available for pickup that day. As I mentioned before, this might be your chance to own a book with your picture on the front of it. On the front of the new one are Alice Flooring Stramer and Linda Holden Carter, and Sarah Jane Carr, who is now known as Janie Miller, and my buddy Alan Ackerman, and my brother Chip Geringer, and a whole lot of people I don't know. We are also interested in learning about historical English Valley's items that you might wish to donate to the History Center. Please contact Dave Jackson, Scott Romine, or any board member to donate. We'll see you next time.